Wie baut man intuitive Services? Wie entwickelt man die perfekte Customer Journey für Versicherte? Wir wissen, wie es geht. Denn wir sind IBM X, euer Partner für Digitalisierung. Von Beratung und Strategie bis zu Design und technischer Umsetzung. Mit euch gemeinsam gestalten wir Produkte und Services von morgen. Erfahre jetzt mehr auf ibmix.de.
This is the Digital Insurance Podcast. In exciting interviews, we talk to the leading experts about the latest developments, trends, and technologies for the digital transformation in the insurance industry. Hi, I'm here with Cate Kay, Director Insurance Innovators at Marketforce Live, and today we will be giving our outlook on the future of the insurance industry and how and what the Insurance Innovators in Munich can contribute. Welcome, Cate.
Hi, great to be here. Thank you for having me. We're excited to be here.
Tell me something about the Insurance Innovators in Munich. What can we expect?
Great question. Yeah, so we're really excited for this event on the 12th to the 13th of June. So you can expect 60 plus innovators taking to the stage. So we've got some fantastic speakers from Ping An to the Chief Risk Officer of NN Group to the Chief Technology Officer of AXA. Some amazing brands taking to the stage. And then the audience itself is looking really senior. So we've got, brilliant major European brands in attendance, Ergo, Allianz, Helvetia, etc. A very senior audience profile. But critically, and most importantly, the event is really going to be kind of tackling the issues that matter now, some really hot topics. So excited for it.
Is there a specific motto that runs through the event in Munich this year?
Definitely. So we are very much about being the premier event in Europe. Like I said, we're really kind of focused on getting those key stakeholders in the room, and so that hopefully, the networking will be really meaningful. People can forge some amazing connections, but also the conversations as well should be hopefully really illuminating. Looking forward to it.
Very cool. So, as I said in this episode's intro, we are here to discuss the future of the insurance industry. What did you see as last year's main trend, and what do you expect for this year?
Yeah, so the climate this year has obviously changed a great deal. We're in a completely different macro kind of economic landscape right now, and we're seeing a real hardening in the market. So it's encouraging to see how much innovation has moved forward still. And, there's some really new, exciting players on the scene. But ultimately, the conversations have changed since last year. Our research and our conversations are finding that people are actually really wanting to explore how to better drive efficiency, how to ensure that they're getting a real return on an investment. And so too has the discussion around insurtech as well. So, much more kind of focus on seeing proven capabilities of moving to profitability. So you might have come across the kind of camel analogy that's come about recently with this idea of insurtechs needing to go to be kind of to demonstrate that they can move beyond investment and to move towards profitability.
So sort of very in opposite to a unicorn company then.
Yeah, exactly. This idea that much like a camel doesn't need to keep drinking the whole time, that an insurtech can ultimately move towards profitability and independence quickly.
That's very interesting.
So we'll focus on ROI this year, which is exciting to see how the conversations have moved on.
I've heard the term zebra before, but I've never heard the term camel.
Yeah,
that's
a lot of terms out there.
New. Yeah,
kind of animal kingdom terms.
Still waiting for the lion company.
Yeah.
No idea what that's going to be.
Hopefully not like a goldfish or something. That would be a bad one.
That's true. So when it comes to the future of insurance, one buzzword or the buzzwords that I get to hear in my bubble the most are parametrics and AI. What is your opinion on that? Are parametrics and AI the future of insurance?
Yeah, good question. So with parametrics, it's obviously an extraordinary, exciting space right now, but I do think it's not going to completely replace traditional insurance. It's a fantastic kind of solution for the problem that we're facing right now, and it complements traditional insurance. So you can see, for instance, Floodflash, they are insuring flood perils in a really kind of exciting and innovative way. And, parametric offers that really kind of simple solution. And in the case of Floodflash, for instance, you're seeing a situation where, you can be paid a claim in full in under 4 hours, which is phenomenal.
That's cool.
I know, very cool. And obviously, you see players like Swiss Re as well. They've got Insure8. So if there's a typhoon warning, once it's reached a certain level, they will be able to kind of pay out for business interruption. And that is standardized, it's SME centric, it's designed to be sold in a digital way. So some really exciting stuff happening in this space. But I will say, like I said in the beginning, I don't think it will replace traditional insurance, but in the current climate, as climate change becomes a growing issue, it's a beautiful, perfect solution. And with AI, I know we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but I do think it is very much a buzzword. And part of our job is deciphering, the fact from the fiction and trying to really assess how big an impact it really will have.
So what about generative AI? What's your stance on that? I mean, obviously, ChatGPT has brought the world's attention to AI or to generative AI.
Yeah, and we're hearing a lot about it. Obviously, it's coming up everywhere. Funny enough, we were on a podcast the other day interviewing someone and they literally got out ChatGPT as I was talking to them to get the answers to my questions. Listen, I think we are seeing a real debate around this. There's no denying it. It's massive buzzwords right now. But I think the key question is around how transformative is it really going to be? And whether, the buzzword that it is right now is warranted, or if it actually could be a bit of a distraction from, actually what is equally transformative automation. So there is a lot of hype around this, but I think we have to be cautious as well and realize that there's still so much kind of value left on the table with traditional AI, and there's a lot more to be done in that area as well. And we're seeing, that actually a lot of players are still grappling with, the fundamentals of things like data maturity. So I think we have to be cautious about the hype, but it does raise some really interesting questions around, governance, ethics, and, it's interesting to see the stance of players like Apple, but, whether their concerns around things like privacy. So we are watching this space really closely, and I'm very excited to hear some of the discussion that emerges and Insurance Innovators Munich around this topic. But again, to go back to my original point, I think it's our job to decipher, what is media hype versus genuine interest, and what's really going to bring meaningful return on investment in the longer run.
Yeah, that's fair. Have you personally used ChatGPT before?
I actually have, and a lot of my colleagues are as well. We're doing a lot of kind of experimentation at the moment with ChatGPT. I think it's a very cool technology, and certainly it's really helpful for us in our research if we want to get like a summary, for instance. But to be honest with you, it doesn't replace human research, not least because the data is obviously from 2021 or before, and it's great for summaries. But if you really want to kind of understand the nuances of what's going on, you can't beat a good old conversation, in my view. But I'm excited to see how it develops further. Are you using it?
I do actually. I do occasionally use ChatGPT, but as you said, obviously the cutoff point was like in September 2021 or something like that. So most of the data is 2 years old. So you can't really use it for a lot of tasks, but for the tasks that you can use it for, I think it's definitely very, very interesting.
And you do have to be really careful about what you put in and ask it as well. That's the other thing.
Oh yes, of course.
The phrasing of the question, which yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Well, no, it's actually coined an entire new job. If you think about prompt engineers, for example.
Yeah, of course.
So that's something that people always say AI will replace several different jobs or will replace people's jobs, but it will also, in my opinion, will also create new ones, as we've now seen with that job.
Yeah, for sure. And equally, maybe even put greater emphasis on human skills. So this whole endless debate over empathy with AI, can AI ever be empathetic? I mean, that's a really interesting conversation in and of itself. But from my impression of the market, there does seem to be a lot of people out there who are of the opinion that no, it really won't. And actually the role of the human is going to be very important still in the future. And like you said, new growth opportunities for new roles.
Well, another thing that I heard recently was that the AI is basically, or the power, the driving force behind the AI development is basically the war of the search engines. So you have big tech like Google, Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon all driving the innovation of AI forward and integrating it into their services. Like Bing, for example, with new ChatGPT 4. Will big tech carve up the insurance industry amongst each other and divide it further? What's your opinion on that?
I think it depends on how we look at this question. So if we're thinking at it in terms of a risk of these four players, or the Googles, the Microsofts, the Apples, the Amazons, sort of coming in and taking the core insurance business. I think that's something that has been a worry for quite some time, at least like the last 5 years. And it's something that doesn't seem to be happening. I mean, insurance is a very kind of heavily regulated industry. It has serious capital requirements, and it's not something that is going to be particularly easy to get into. But with that being said, we are seeing new players coming in and disrupting the industry, but as potential kind of distribution channels largely. So for instance, the likes of Amazon Insurance Marketplace would be a great example. But if we're looking at it from the point of view of AI in general disrupting the industry, then there's absolutely no doubt that these big players are going to be huge. I mean, especially if you think of like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, they control vast spaces of the value chain. And I think if you're an insurance provider looking at implementing AI, you are going to need huge computing power. And that is where things like cloud are really going to be, critical and important. So clearly, there are big providers out there that will be able to kind of help with this. But we're definitely watching this scene very closely, as I'm sure the rest of the industry is.
Speaking of needing computing power, what do you think is standing in the way presently, or what are insurers missing to fully embrace the technological and digital innovations?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the company that you're talking to. Obviously, everyone has their own individual challenges, but the age-old issues still seem to be very much at the fore. So legacy systems, but also legacy thinking and mindset as well with that too. Culture as well. A big focus, obviously, the last year has been talent. And one thing that I'm particularly interested in is as we look at this insurtech space and kind of changes more generally within the technology market, how can insurers acquire new talent that from those organizations if they don't end up working out. So bringing in new talent, I think, is going to be very critical. But the age-old issues are still there, things like legacy, systems and mindsets, and trying to remain agile with what can be quite cumbersome systems. So I'd say actually the conversations we're having now are probably very similar still to the ones we were having sort of 5 years ago, but it's just that the ante has really kind of increased, the stakes are a bit higher.
Will we be having these conversations in 5 years' time still?
I hope not. Hopefully, if everyone comes to Insurance Innovators Munich, we won't need to.
Well, let's cycle back to Insurance Innovators in Munich. What are you looking forward to the most? Is there a specific speaker or a specific topic? If you look at the agenda, what is your gem, your star?
A star. We've got too many to mention. I think I'm probably really interested in that opening session right now, just because of what I talked about, the hardening market. And in that opening session, we are looking at things like, critical issues like inflation, but also, issues that cannot be ignored, like what do we do in the face of climate change. So I'm really looking forward to hearing some of those really senior players from across Europe giving their opinions about how they're going to respond to this kind of hardening market. But there are some really innovative sessions there. We're looking at things like, the role of OEMs and the future of the auto market, the rise of embedded insurance. We've got a data lab. There's all sorts of things that will be discussed. So it's hard to choose one, but me personally, that theme of building resilience in this time of uncertainty, I think it's a really big one right now. And I'm very excited to hear what the speakers will say to that.
Very interesting. I will be attending, obviously, as well. So that's definitely something that I will keep an eye open for. One of the other things that I saw online on your website was that one of the driving topics will be embedded insurance and the platform economy. What can we learn about embedded insurance at the Insurance Innovators that we haven't already heard in 2022? Because, embedded was, or still is, one of the massive buzzwords, but it's been around for quite some time now.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got some really interesting speakers on this area. So we've, in that session, we've got Raisin, Decado, Generali Access. There's some really excellent speakers who will be weighing in on this topic. And you're right, it has been on the cards for a while, but I think that doesn't necessarily, it's still an extremely important topic. So we'll be exploring things like, to what extent is it going to become a dominant distribution channel? And if so, what does it look like, for instance, within SME insurance? Are there going to be how can we kind of capitalize on this opportunity within those kind of underinsured or uninsured markets as well. So I still think there's lots of debates to be had around it, and I think it's going to be a really interesting session. And I'm particularly excited to hear from Raisin in that session.
Why so?
They're just a really interesting player, and I think it would be really interesting to hear what they have to say about the changing distribution landscape. They're doing lots of cool, exciting stuff, so it would be great to hear from them.
Very cool, very interesting. And lastly, one last question is, what can we expect from your official after party? I saw that online, and obviously that's always something that people look forward to. So what will you do differently in that respect?
Yeah, I love the question. So we're going. It's going to be at a really cool venue that was built actually in like 1442. So it's one of the oldest inns in Munich. So an amazing backdrop. It's just a great opportunity for people to kind of unwind, relax, enjoy a drink, enjoy traditional kind of German canapes and drinks, but also, ultimately to network with those senior figures. Like I said, we are very much as a company about making sure that we're getting the key stakeholders in the room. So it should be a phenomenal chance to hopefully build connections and see old friends in the industry. And I'm looking forward to raising a glass with you there, Alex. It's going to be fun.
So am I. Actually, when it comes to evening events, this is something that I've recently told people in person. I'm still looking forward to one event or one event anywhere, one after party at an event anywhere, offering foot massages.
Yeah.
Because if you walk around at an event or at a trade fair all day in suit shoes as well, that really does a tally on your feet. So if anyone ever offers foot massages at an evening event or at an after party, that would be an absolute showstopper for me.
Well, Alexander, if you're offering to do that for us at this event, you're more than welcome.
Not me personally.
Yeah, that's actually a brilliant idea. We'll have to discuss that for next year for sure. Yeah, but there are some very cool things happening at events out there, aren't there? If you've been to any with puppy pens recently.
Yeah,
the puppy pen phenomenon. Yeah. Sadly, no foot massages this year at Munich, but but if anyone is interested, I'm sure Alexander is very happy to.
Yeah, I'm not going to be giving foot massages.
No, but it should be a really fun after party, and we're really looking forward to it. So yeah, it'll be good.
Cool. So am I. That already brings us to our end. Thank you very much for your time and for our discussion, even though it was a fairly short one. It was a lot of fun, and I already look forward to attending the Insurance Innovators in Munich.
Absolutely, we look forward to seeing you there, and hopefully at our Insurance Innovators Summit as well in November, which should be awesome.
Absolutely. Kate, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Lovely to meet you. Take care.
Bye. That was another episode of the Digital Insurance Podcast. Be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, and the rest.